Your speakers for today are eAdvisor's Brian Michaels, National Sales Director, and Paige Cromer, National Sales Performance Strategist. And with that, I will pass things off to Paige.
Hi, everyone. Most advisors and techs are not super comfortable in the role of a salesperson. They love to solve problems, make people happy, and fix things. They respond to needs and make recommendations, but most do not like to sell. They are even more uncomfortable selling their own value to the boss. That's what we want to talk about today.
Most people are uncomfortable asking for a raise, and this often leads to a quality employee leaving when they are offered a BBD, a bigger, better deal, followed by a desperate and costly attempt by employers to keep them from leaving. Of course, there are other factors besides money. That is a given, but we have to face the reality that compensation is a huge factor. Stagnant compensation often leaves an employee with a feeling they are not valued. Hiring new people can be very expensive and can be very frustrating at times. It's far better to retain and add on than to chase and replace. Let's talk about technicians first, then we'll talk about advisors.
First, remember this rule. Whether a technician is paid by the flat rate hour or the clock hour, every technician's booked or sold hours must be tracked and accounted for. If an employee is working as a tech all week, their cost, what you pay them, should be accounted for as cost of labor. Your dealership may track and account for a tech's non-productive hours as unapplied labor. That's fine, but most dealers simply account for the full amount of their pay as cost of labor. You can better manage this metric if you embrace the fact that every booked labor hour has a sale amount and a cost of sale amount. The sale price of the labor minus the direct cost of the labor equals the gross profit.
Let's start with your B and C technicians. Now, I recommend paying these techs by the clock hour. Reward and motivate them by assigning a minimum expectation for labor hours booked and a bonus for exceeding that minimum. In doing this, your techs will see their rate of pay per hour increase, more dollars for the same hours worked, while you, the dealer, will experience a decrease in labor costs per hour, and everyone wins. Let's look at an example. Sam, the technician, earns $15 per clock hour worked. Sam worked 40 hours at $15. He earns $600 for the week. When Sam books 20 hours in that week, your cost per sold labor hour is $30 per hour, 600 divided by 20. Now we'll incentivize Sam to book more hours if we pay him $10 for his booked hours that exceed the minimum 20 hours. Sam is now motivated and books 30 hours. He earns an additional $100. That's $10 for each hour booked over the 20, 10 times 10. Sam earned $700 total for the week. In essence, his rate of pay has gone up from $15 to $17.50 per hour. 700 divided by 40, 1750. The dealership's cost per sold labor hour, however, has decreased from 30 to 23.33, 700 divided by 30. The more Sam books, the more Sam makes, and the more your cost per booked labor hour decreases. Cost per hour is the key, not how much Sam makes. You want Sam to have big checks. The bigger Sam's checks are, the lower your costs per hour are, and the higher your gross profit margin. Sam is protected from the downside of a flat rate system that he is not ready for yet, and he gathers the experience he needs to get to the next level. Adjust the rates and minimums according to the tech's ability. The higher the clock hour rate, the higher the minimum. Also, make OEM training a requirement as well. They can't work for you if they don't participate in training and make an effort to advance their careers.
A-techs are different. These people are experienced and very good at what they do. They do the most difficult work and they are productive doing it. They deserve to get paid more, a lot more. We recommend you use a base flat rate for all of your A-techs and add to that rate based on seniority and training requirements met. You may have other criteria you think would be impactful, so go for it. And one last very important thing, we recommend automatic increases every year. This will virtually eliminate defection. Giving them small raises every year that they can look forward to will remove the anxiety of asking for a raise.
Let's see what that looks like. First, set a base flat rate and make it the same for all of your A technicians. Next, reward for seniority at your dealership. Add an amount for every year they work for you. It could be 25 cents or 50 cents per year worked or more. Make this adjustment on their anniversary date each year. Next, Create a training incentive. Increase their rate based on completed training. Use your OEM training requirements for this incentive. I'll base this example using GM's model. If a tech is 100% trained in at least one of the OEM training categories, their rate is increased by an amount. Let's use $2. If they're 100% in 2 to 3 categories, an additional $2. 4 to 5 categories, another $2. Add as many levels as you like. Use whatever dollar figure you like. You get the idea. Now the techs will have a stake in managing their own training. They will monitor it themselves and should be encouraged to enroll in the classes they need to get to 100%. The manager can still approve enrollments or not at their discretion. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, consider a yearly increase to their base rates based on CPI or some other published factor. When the OEM increases your warranty rate by X%, you can raise your technician base rate by X% and increase your door rate by X%. Everybody wins. Your techs get a raise and your gross profit percentage stays the same. Now put up some guardrails, use a minimum and a maximum, and then make this adjustment on January 1st every year. When you implement these measures, you'll find that your A technicians will no longer carry the anxiety of asking for pay raises. It will prevent your techs from quitting for the BBD, the bigger, better deal. Let's look at a hypothetical for an A tech with 10 years of seniority at your dealership. John is 100% trained in GM fundamentals and 100% in 3 other GM tech categories. Start with a base rate of $30 per booked hour. John earns 25 cents additional per hour for each year of seniority, so add $2.50 to his rate. John is 100% trained in 3 GM tech categories. Add $4 to his rate. John's rate is now $30 per hour base plus $2.50 for seniority plus $4 for training. The incentivized rate is now $36.50 per hour. Each year on January 1st, you increase the base rates for all technicians by the CPI percentage that the OEM increases your labor rate by. If the CPI increase is 2%, the base rate increases from $30 to $30.60. You will find that removing that anxiety will greatly improve your tech retention and their satisfaction. And a pay plan like this will almost manage itself.
Service advisor plans need to be super simple, without complication, and timely. If you do this, you get paid this, paid on every pay period. Don't make them wait a month or more to realize the incentive. The components of a good advisor pay plan should include a weekly salary, a weekly commission, and weekly spiffs. The weekly commission is easy to do using productivity reports from your DMS. Lastly, there should be a seniority bonus rewarded to them as an increase to their salary on their anniversary date.
Service advisors are part sales and part customer service. That's why most advisor pay plans are heavily weighted in salary. The relationships your advisors have with their customers are super valuable. Among many other things, they greatly influence customer retention and vehicle repurchase decisions. Retaining advisors long-term is very important. Yearly salary increases will help you retain your advisors and improve their satisfaction. But sales performance is also very important, and you need a good commission plan for that. Keep it simple and relative. The reward should be very close to the event. Don't make them wait a month. I suggest you pay a percentage of their labor sales each week as reported from a weekly DMS productivity report. Using this method, you will only be paying a commission on closed sales. Although tempting, don't use gross profit because it is subject to adjustments to the cost of labor and highly inaccurate per individual repair order. Also, when you base it on weekly closed sales, advisors are motivated to get the vehicle picked up and the RO closed ASAP. When it comes to the commission, I suggest you start from a minimum. If the weekly labor sales goal for an advisor is, let's say, $20,000, it's more impactful to pay 4% for sales over $10,000 than it is to pay 2% for all of the sales. The comp is the same if they just meet their goal. But when they overperform or underperform, the effect will be much more noticeable. Yes, you'll be paying a higher rate of commission when the numbers increase, but the fixed costs haven't changed, so you'll be working from a more profitable position. And you'll also pay less when they slump. Because it is weekly, they know that what they sell today will increase next week's paycheck. This is very motivating. It's not a month away. You could also add a spiff for perfect CSI surveys, but do not charge them back for bad surveys, as I have seen some dealerships do. Don't penalize an advisor for stepping up to deal with a very difficult customer. It will cause your advisors to avoid these customers instead of embracing the challenge of making them happy again.
Thank you for tuning in for our talk about tech and advisor pay plans. Of course, the specific dollar and percentages will vary from store to store and market to market. The principles will hold up no matter where you're doing business. Be proactive. Reward them for their loyalty and performance. Take pride in their success. Retain them long term and give them a reason to love where they work. As always, if you're already an eAdvisor customer, we really appreciate you. Tell all of your dealer friends about us. If you've not yet purchased the greatest service lane tool on the planet, eAdvisor. Thank you for tuning in for our talk about tech and advisor pay plans. Of course, the specific dollar and percentages will vary from store to store and market to market. The principles will hold up no matter where you're doing business. Be proactive. Reward them for their loyalty and performance. Take pride in their success. Retain them long term and give them a reason to love where they work. As always, if you're already an eAdvisor customer, we really appreciate you. Tell all of your dealer friends about us. If you've not yet purchased the greatest service lane tool on the planet, eAdvisor, contact us today to schedule your demo. You'll be glad you did.
Thank you, Brian and Paige. That concludes this episode of 10 Minutes to Highly Effective Service. We've had some great questions come in, and we have a few minutes to answer those live. First question is, what would you pay an entry-level lube tech?
Let me take that one, Paige. It kind of depends on the market, but as an example, the labor rate for a quick service bay is usually a lot lower, so the cost needs to be lower as well. If you paid this person $10 per hour, that's $400 per week in a 40-hour week. And if you're targeting a cost per hour $20 for your quick lane services, then this tech would need to book 20 hours per week to hit that target. Then you could bonus them for hours they book over the 20. Now, at 3/10 of an hour per oil change, that means that they would need to do about 66 oil changes in a week. Not bad. But if they do some upselling, that would really help them maximize on their bonus.
Our next question is, thank you for doing this. Do all manufacturers have automatic warranty rate increases like you mentioned GM does?
Yeah, so it varies with each manufacturer. I can't speak for all of them, but I think most of them have some sort of trigger for doing this. You should ask your OEM rep. But even with GM, you have to enroll in that option to get that. So my suggestion is to do a warranty rate analysis, apply for the biggest warranty rate increase you could possibly get, and then turn on the automatic updates. And it kind of runs automatically. You'll stay up to date and current and get the kind of warranty rate that you deserve.
We have time for one more question. I'm not understanding the advisor commission structure. Can you explain it a little further?
Yeah, I know. I got a little bit in the weeds on that, I guess, but I tried to squeeze everything into 10 minutes and it wasn't so easy this time. But yes, hypothetically, okay, if you expect your advisors should write 20 grand in labor sales, every week for a commission, and you're figuring based on their salary that their commission would be around $400 to get them to the kind of pay that you'd want them that they and you want them to be at. Now you could just pay them 2% on that 20,000 and you'd get $400 commission, right? But if they write more or less, the problem with that is that 2% isn't a big percentage, and therefore their commission would really change very little if they under or overperformed, right? So you'll increase the impact of this over or underperformance by doing this. You just, instead of paying it from $0 up to whatever, just start it at a minimum of, let's say, $10,000. So instead of paying 2% of 20,000, you would pay 4% of 10,000. Then what happens is if they write 25,000, they're going to get a much bigger commission than if it was 2%. In other words, 4% of 15 is a lot higher than 2% of 20 or 25, right? So, and what happens then is the advisors then, it gets their attention a lot more, because if they have if they underperform for the week, their commission is going to be a lot lower than it normally would be. And if they overperform, the commission is going to be a lot higher. So hopefully that explains it a little bit better. But basically, whatever you think their goal should be, I would cut that in half and then double the percentage. Maybe that's the simplest way to put it. I think you'll get a lot more attention from your service advisors about that. Okay?
Thank you, Brian. And thank you to everyone for your time today and those of you that submitted your questions. If we didn't have a chance to answer yours live, we'll reach out to you individually. We'll also be sending out a copy of the recording earlier next week. And as a reminder, a survey will pop up once this webinar ends, and we would greatly appreciate your responses. Also, mark your calendars for Tuesday, November 12th at 11 a.m. Eastern for episode 12. More details and a pre-registration link will be included in your email immediately following this webinar. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you.